All you have to do is believe. Mm, It's easy. It's easy like a Jesus morning. One page book. Well, I know it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Babylon, I leave tomorrow. Seems to me, Babs, you know I've done all I can. You see, I begged, stole, and I borrowed. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm easy. Oh, yeah, I'm going to write an easy book. I'm easy like Jesus morning. That's why I'm easy. Yeah. I'm easy like Jesus morning. Now, why in the world would anybody make me write 365 pages? Jesus paid my dues to make it. Everybody wants me to be what they want me to be. Know what? I'm not happy when I try and fake it. No, I just want one page. Ooh, that's why I'm easy. I'm gonna write an easy book. Easy like Jesus books. One page books. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Jesus morning. It's the Sabbath day. And I want to be high, so high. I want to be free to know the things I do are right. Okay, that counts as a book. I want to be free to see. So it's bye bye, Babs. Bye bye, Babs. Woo! Yeah. Oh, maybe I write a 2 page book. You want a longer one? I can insert some blank pages where you can insert your thoughts. Pictures, I can make the font bigger. Well, we're up to 100 pages. But why don't we just stay easy? That's why I'm easy. I'm doing it easy. Today I'm writing a book. It's a 1 page book. And it's like a Jesus morning. Woo! That's why I'm easy. Gonna take it easy. I'm gonna be writing a book that's easy. Oh, 'cause I'm easy. Taking the easy way with Jesus. Oh, it ain't so easy. It's easy enough. Jesus says, you want to write a book? Let's write a book today. If you got 15 minutes, woo, will be published. I'm easy like Jesus morning. Well, what is this? Well, this is one of the parts of a 1,000-part movie called Sacred Clown. And this is a important movie, part of the movie. One of the parts is called Greg Muller. Why would I be in this movie? I don't know. Jesus wants me in there because he's actually making the movie, so I'll understand who I am, Like, that stuff you do all the time, Greg? Oh, yeah, the stuff that some people don't like. Uh, Lots of people, I guess, to confess the truth. Uh-huh. Um, that's what I called you to do, Greg. I called you to be a sacred clown. Do you know what that is? Kinda. Well, let's make a movie, and it'll be a 1,000-part movie, and you can help me. So it's kind of what I hashtag hear Jesus saying, and so that's what I'm doing. So this part of the movie is about him, war, and Jesus, of course. We start out with Easy Like a Jesus Morning, but we're going to talk about the one-page book. And what better place to talk about a one-page book than the one-page book, the book called The One-Page Book. So here we go. Here's how it starts. At the very top, it says, oh, by the way, I'll give you the link to this in the Sacred Clown, movie part list. I'll put that there just so you can read it. So if you wanted to read it, but I'm gonna read it to you. At the very top, the cover says, "By small and simple means," and then it says, "The One-Page Book." It has a pretty nice little cover, written by Greg O. Muller, PhD. I should probably also put my other degree in there, JSF, which is Jesus Super Friend. So if you're a friend of Jesus, then you have something that's better than a PhD, way better. It's called a JSF, Jesus Super Friend. All right, chapter 1, 2, 3, and a million. It's a one-page book, so yeah. This is the title. The One-Page Book, a version share book, a small, simple book, an example for living. By Jesus, Angels, and Greg. Oh, Jesus gave me some authorship there. I'm listed third, but I like it. And this is version, nope, it's not 102. It's version 1.84. And it starts out with this thing that Jesus said: all you have to do is believe. All you got to do is to believe me, Greg. You want to write a one-page book? I want to write a book. Does it have to be one page? No, we can go up to two. If we keep going, it would be number three. But let's take it easy, all right? Let's just start out small. Forward. As you can imagine, this awesome book was quite easy to write. Not only because it's quite short, but also because I had heavenly help writing it. It's easy. Somebody helped me do it. It helps that my co authors are Jesus and his angels, and they don't feel like they have to follow all of our sticky earthly traditions, conventions, and rules for writing books. Boy, these guys take liberties. The angels and Jesus, yes, they do. They don't think they have to follow all of our, quote, sticky earthly traditions, conventions, and rules for writing. Audacious those immortal beings are. Yes? Yes, they are. In fact, those who know Jesus well know that Jesus is quite a rebel, a troublemaker. Jesus doesn't bow down to our bookish traditions and ways because Jesus is the way. I am the way, he would say, I suppose. Maybe not like that, but you know. So if you run with Jesus long and or co-author books with Jesus or do much of anything with a lot more Jesus, you're probably going to find that Jesus leads you to do things on this earth differently. Eventually, way differently than everybody else. So, quote, get used to different, end quote. Jesus told me he helped me, Greg, write this book for a very specific purpose so that I would learn a lesson about Jesus, so that I would have a very tangible reminder, a North Star understanding. And I once was lost, but now I'm found, recurring epiphany of what exactly Jesus means when he says this to me and others, quote, come unto me, all ye who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's nice, Jesus. Your burden is light, your yoke is easy. Sometimes your books are way easy. Many people there are who have dreamed about writing a book. Have you ever dreamed about writing a book? I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to have $1 million. I have $1 million. I'm going to write a book. Some have even started writing a book. Oh, wow. You're writing a book? I'm writing a book. Oh, that's cool. But a few people finish writing the book they dream of, let alone even start writing it. Most people are like, oh, I had to write a book. I had to write a book. So they just kind of go like, you ought to read this book. You ought to read this book. That's because it seems so big and daunting to write a book. Oh my goodness, this is so hard. You got to write a book. This is not easy. But as you'll see here, it really is easy and very simple to write a book. If you first offer up a broken heart and a contrite spirit to Jesus, that's what he requires. If you're going to write a Jesus book, you need to like, well, what do I need to do? Your heart needs to be broken and your spirit contrite. Jesus and his angels are willing to help you write your book, and they may or may not help you like they are helping me using the KISS, keep it simple, sunshine principle. Yes, the KISS principle. But, and here's the big but, as you will see, ironically, it is the very easiness. Oh, no, don't lose this. This one is important, Greg. Remember this. Who you talking to? Who's this movie talking to? And well, you're making I'm not making a movie. Jesus is making a movie to talk to you. But I see your mouth moving. Yeah, who are we talking to? My future self, who might forget this. What would he forget? Well, but here it is, the big but. As you will see, ironically, it's the very easiness of writing a book like this one that I'm reading to you right now. It's the very easiness that becomes the sticking point, the confounding principle, the yoke of bondage, the yoke of damnation, the yoke that prevents many people from writing a book and or many other things in life, not just a book. It's like he sent fiery serpents. Change voice. He sent fiery serpents among them, and after they were bitten, he prepared a way that they might be healed. And the labor which they had to perform was to look. And because of the simpleness of the way or the easiness of it, there were many who perished. First Nephi 17:41. What? So there's the lesson. And it is not just about writing a book, it is about everything we do on earth. We could do so many things. I could have done so many things, baby. If I had just had my mind focused on just go to Jesus. We're going to be easy, easy like Jesus morning. We could do so many things much more simply if we were to take upon ourselves the yoke of Jesus, the yoke of freedom, the yoke of easiness, and cast off the yoke of bondage, doing things the U.S. Antichrist Babylonian traditional ways. So, choose ye this day the yoke you will wear. As for me and my house and my life, I'm choosing the Jesus way. And in many respects, not in all respects. Oh, that's for sure, Lord. Not in all respects. But it is the easy way. It is the easy way. It's the real path of least resistance. It's called flow. It's called the higher way. The way in which Jesus and his angels will make my burdens easier, lighter, and more fun. Okay, well, there's the forward to that book. Wow, for a one-page book, that had a lot of forward, didn't it? Um, there's some earlier language from a different forward, and I want to read this one because this one's kind of interesting. My past self was speaking from the dust. Greg Muller responded, "Oh, my main secret is to write books the way Jesus showed me to write them. I resisted Jesus for a long time on this, just like I resist him on a lot of other issues that are not yet resolved, but we're working on. So when it comes to book writing, I decided to take Jesus at his word. I've decided to assume is really not just hedging and playing tricks when he says, 'For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.' Bottom line, he told me that I should write one-page books. They are easier to write, easier to read, and I can offer them to others at much less cost. Free? A free book, anyone? And then Jesus doubled down on easy. He led me to write version books, such that I could release a book to a public like software developers do. Oh, well, that's not completely done. We're still debugging that. So it's like early alpha and beta versions. That's why you can write them in 15 minutes. That's why I can write a one-page book, a full book in 15 minutes. Like, write it up, write it up. Here you go. Oh, by the way, that's the early version. We'll be working on that the rest of my life. So come back and you get the updated version if you want. After I get your feedback, read that book. Tell me what you think. How would you like that to be different? Wow. So, paradigm number 12. This is the header here. It's called Sufficient to Go. This book, this one page book thing, is an expression of paradigm number 12. So, Jesus, this is a different book. We're not going to read that this time, but Jesus gave me a bunch of paradigm shifts that were happening in our day in the 2020s, 2030s. Um, and this book, one page book, is an expression of paradigm number 12 called Sufficient to Go. Jesus is putting into his children's hearts, mine included, a growing appreciation in our society, and there's room in the marketplace of ideas continually for rough, small, simple, quick. Room for rough, small, and quick. Traditionally, the pathway of books to reader has been strongly defined by Babylonian antichrist, money driven needs of the marketplace. Isn't it supposed to be the needs of the reader? Nope. It's first the money driven needs of the marketplace. Well, isn't the marketplace giving people what they want and need? Maybe want, but not need. Anyways, money driven needs of the marketplace, and based on the assumption a book needs to be fully done, no, finished, complete, pretty, crisp and bound, sellable length before people will pay for it. Well, they're probably right about that. This tradition will continue, no doubt. Yeah, it's the Babylonian way. You got to make things hard. But Jesus has shown me a new pathway. Jesus is the way, one that is needs driven. My personal need to write lots of books and share my ideas with my readers needs for low cost access to vital knowledge. Are there people out there that need some vital knowledge? Or is everything going out okay out in Babylonia? Is it getting better and better? So it's not, then maybe I'll have a book. It's not my book. It's Jesus is writing a book. I'm second author. Well, actually, third through the angels' help. So, third author. This pathway is more rugged and earthy. It is. The pathway is more rugged and earthy. Jesus has put it into my heart to write and release my books before they are perfect, before they are smooth. Paradigm number 12 is called Sufficient to Go or Ready to Go. You say, well, it's not ready for show. Yeah, but it's ready to go. So we're starting the show. You're releasing your book and release books before they are perfect, before they are smooth and complete, before perfection set in. Oh, it feels like perfection setting in. Oh, we better rough this up a little bit. That's not my way. It's Jesus's way, though. Yep. So his way is to release things, including me. Greg, is Greg ready for Earth life? I'm afraid he might mess some stuff up. Uh, well, we don't have to worry about Greg. Perfection's not going to set in him, but he'll get better. And so I will. It's like Jesus is having me write manger scene books, books that are fit for the lowly manger scene into which Jesus was born. Oh, what kind of book we got here? Oh, there's no room in my inn. Most innkeepers, that's what they're called. Jesus calls them innkeepers. He loves innkeepers, by the way, so don't take offense if you're an innkeeper. It's cool. But most innkeepers, this is true, the important people, the in crowd, the in style, the in control people in our society will think that these one page Jesus books are just silly and foolish, worthless. Hmm, what would they have done with Jesus? Well, I kind of have a book that talks about that. It's not one page, but you can read the essential parts in one page. Bottom line is, Jesus has me release my books, his books, while they are still quite rough. For example, writing the Jesus way, I feel free to insert in brackets notes to myself. What is this all they're done? Notes. Next time I come through this, I ought to add this. Oh, that'd be wonderful. Sorry, reader, I'm just making notes to myself. Notes to myself, or even to you, the reader. Oh, just a second, I got to make a note about things I shall soon or later add or edit. You're going to do that? Stop in the middle of the book when people are just with bated breath, like, what's he going to say next? What's he going to say next? And you're going to stop and say, well, it's going to sound like a mashup, kind of like Jesus TV that we're on. Oh, by the way, yeah, we're on Jesus TV. It's not my TV, it's Jesus TV. And we're reading through a one page book, the one page Jesus Easy book. We're taking our time, our sweet Jesus time to do it. Um, yeah, so I can make notes and say, hey, I'm gonna get better at my grammar here. My grammar, my structure, my layout will all be less than perfect right now, especially in these early versions. And most of my books are ready for sale the day I write them, even though they may not. They may be no more than a few words on a piece of paper, wet and newly born. Yep. Have you ever seen that? Like a baby? Is that baby ready to go to work? Well, absolutely. The work it has to do is, yeah, all right. Is that something worth keeping? Well, some people think not, but you, we think, let's keep it. That's all it can do. In a little bit, it'll be able to smile. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's like a one page book. I make no apologies. Oh, by the way, that's not in the book. So this is only in the movie. This is like a director's cut of the movie. It's like, oh, he inserted some new things. And maybe you'll just want the written word. I don't know. But I made no apologies, just explanations, because that is what Jesus told me to do. Oh, so in your books, you do what Jesus tells you to do? It's like scriptures. Write this, Greg. What did he say next? One page. That's the header. Yeah. Why write one page books? Well, that is a good question. Jesus told me that one page books are a lot easier to write, easier to read. Huh. Oh, that's amazing. Why aren't people just writing these out the kazoo? Yeah, they could get them on their resume and stuff. Oh my goodness, I wrote a book today. Huh. Jesus told me that one page books are a lot easier to write and easier to read. The goal is to say everything I need in one page. Oh, yeah, that might be hard for you, Greg. It is. That's why we have to have a movie part, a 1,000 part of a 1,000 part movie called Sacred Clown, because I got a little more to say. Yeah. But, oh, yeah, this is where we're hitting the script. But if more pages are needed, Jesus is kind. He allows me to add more words. In the next version, some of my one page books are actually pushing like 5 pages, 5 times as much. In time, who knows? They may reach 20 or 30 pages. I hope not. But I am not opposed to it if it is absolutely necessary, and that is what Jesus puts into my heart to do. The next header is called Give Eyes. Jesus explained to me that my U.S. cult, did he call it a cult? He did. He calls it a cult. I grew up in a cult. Jesus explained to me that my U.S. culture, conventions, and traditions make us blind, make me blind. The one page book is a reminder to me of what life could be. Oh, do you want me to come? If you turn the oven or say Brand. Okay, sweet. Sweet. That's what I like about Jesus TV. It can have interruptions. And those are delicious interruptions if Jesus is making hot, sweet bread. Mm. Sorry, I'm salivating. It's Sabbath and it's fast Sunday, and I didn't fast. Well, I did. I guess I fasted during the night. So I had an 8-hour fast. But what about during the day? Yeah, didn't really do very good there. But we're working on that, aren't we, Lord? Yes, we are. Okay, make us blind. Back to make us blind. Yeah, what makes us blind? The one page book, is a reminder to me of what life could be. What life could be. Book. Books, that's just the beginning, people. What else in life could be like this one-page book? Could we live and be happy in tiny homes, or really tiny homes made out of mud, sticks, and leaves? Oh, that'd be like having a one-page book. Oh, that's not a house. Ask birds. What do they think? Ask many of our brothers and sisters who literally made their homes out of mud, sticks, and leaves. Millions of people in China, even right now, living, yep, you can Google it, living in caves. Easy. That's easy to have a house. Dig, dig, dig. And they actually have people hired who dig it. Dig it out. Probably takes like a day or two to make a house. Oh my goodness. So life could be easier. Yeah, let's go down in the ground. We can't. Why? Because building codes. Do it anyways. Okay. That's not in this one-page book. Jesus says, most of my children are soon to find out. Oh, yeah, that you can make tiny homes out of mud, sticks, and leaves. That's ominous, Jesus. You put that in this one-page book. Okay. Most of your children are about to find this out. Okay. Well, we'll just leave it there. Version. So this is the next header. We can choose our mistakes with Jesus's help. Choose our mistakes. I choose not to make a mistake. Sorry, I'm laughing, but that's not going to happen. So what you have to do is choose your mistakes. Jesus has put it into my heart. He puts a lot of stuff into my heart. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus has put it into my heart to make the mistake, with quotes. It's not a mistake. Anyways, some people think it's a mistake of putting my Jesus books out too soon. Oh, don't release that. That's just written in crayon, Greg. It's ready to go. But Jesus has put it in my heart to make that mistake. Why are you doing this? Jesus says it's ready to go. Rather than too late. Better early than too late, Jesus tells me. Wow, this must be a very important book. Yeah, it is. If he's having me pop it out when it's just in crayon style, there's probably one or two readers out there that need that. And they're probably in spirit prison and they just looking over my shoulder. What's he writing? Oh, I totally needed that. What about the mortals? There's not a single mortal other than Greg Muller who needs that book, whatever that book might be. Okay, back to the script. Jesus has me do so because me and many people like me, and this is in big font, so this is important. Jesus has me do so, that is, release books early when they're still rough. He has me do so because me and many people like me have good ideas Jesus gives to us. That's the only kind of good idea there is, the one that Jesus gives to us. Me and many people like me have good ideas. Jesus gives them to us that never see the light of the day. Oh my goodness. Really? Yeah, really. Or they only see the light a long, long time after they should have. Jesus has put it into my heart to understand that many of my ideas could make an important contribution to people's lives, even if the ideas, are released in the roughest form. Yep, I can still feel that in my heart, Jesus. You're saying, you don't have to be too pretty, Greg. The kind of stuff I'm giving you, it's for desperate hearts like yours. They won't care if it's in crayon. In fact, they might enjoy it. I don't write pretty novels. Jesus has me write how-to books and idea books, Jesus self-help books. My guess is that if you, as a reader, have enough pain, if you have enough pain, enough need for mine and Jesus's mind treasure, and a sufficient desire to implement it, a beta version, a premature version, a quick and dirty version, a manger scene approximation version may still be useful and appreciated, sufficient for your needs. This style of book reflects a new paradigm that you can read about in my little book called Paradigm Number 12. The old paradigm was ready for show. Got to be ready for show. Come on, that doesn't look good. The new paradigm, sufficient to go. Well, so the new paradigm, that's what people are going to do. Like, this is good enough. Uh huh. But guess what? New paradigms usually don't replace old paradigms, they fulfill them. So, this new paradigm, sufficient to go, will swallow the old paradigm like, oh, it's sufficient to go. But yeah, we're going to keep working on it to ready for show. But today we want to get the good idea out. This might save somebody's life. It's like, well, no, we need to keep doing this cancer treatment for the next 10 years. There's people dying. This stuff works. Good enough. I can read it. A one-page book. I get it. Oh, my goodness. I can write a one-page book. Honey, I can write a one-page book. And I'm going to put it on my resume. Yay! Woo, woo, woo. You're going to put that it's a one-page book? Do they write? Is that the convention? Stephen Covey got the reference. I don't see that he actually puts how many pages the book is. Does it really matter? Well, yeah, because otherwise you'd be like a sacred clown messing with people. Like, I thought when I saw a book on your resume that you were cool. Now I find out you have a one-page book and you're cooler than I ever thought. Oh my goodness. You know how to work the system. That's exactly what we need in this company. Somebody who thinks outside the box. Oh, you are hired. Yeah, like that's going to happen. Jesus does say, "You're not following the traditions." Well, no, I am. There's the title, and there's the book, and the publishers. Um, I self-publish, and I self-create publishing companies in New York, London. Have you ever been to New York or London? I've been to New York, but not London. Well, then how can you write that down? Nework. London is. No, that's not what I mean. How can you live with yourself? I don't know. Oh, hey, how's it going? What are you doing? I'm living with myself and Jesus. All right, enough of that. Sacred Clown, hold it together. Books are kits. So the next little header here is books are kits. I didn't know that books are kits. Yeah, kits help people get things done. At least that's the kind of books I like to write. Is hey, you want to get something done? Like write a book today in 15 minutes? That's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, you got a problem. You can't believe. I get it. There's a lot of things I can't believe. Still working on it. Want to be healed? Just call out to Jesus in faith and he'll heal you. It's hard. How about I just go through chemotherapy and do a lot of exercise and cut out carbs and oh, that sounds good. That's the hard way. Yeah, yeah, that does sound good. Yeah, because Jesus saved those who save themselves. That's so wrong. That's so antichrist. But it's actually what we implicitly learn in our dang culture. But blessed culture, thank you for we could have worse. There we go. Books are kits. Kits help people get things done. All kits can be improved upon. Jesus put it into my heart to improve my books over time, just like he wants me to improve my life over time. Do you see how a one-page book, a version book, where it's the book's not all done, it becomes a parable like, oh, so like you do with the book, you can do with yourself. Yeah, we can improve it. Don't worry. Just get out there. Go to Earth, Greg. I'm so imperfect. You're meant to be imperfect. Now get down there and we'll give you new versions. We call it being born again. Being born again, but I'll need more than one version. Okay, we're going to call it being born again again. Well, I'll need more. It's, yeah, the third time's called being born again again again. Can I just call that born again again? Yeah, so I don't get the alliterations. I just go born again again. I've already been born again in 2015. That happened. But I'm looking to get born again again in 2024. It's happening. All right. Just like he wants me to improve my life over time so that little by little I trend towards being more and more like Jesus until I believe what Jesus believes and I feel what Jesus feels. How you feeling, Greg? I'm feeling more like Jesus feels about this thing. The one-page book, what does he feel? He's so excited about it. Jesus like, oh, this is the gravy train. Woo! How do you feel? I'm feeling kind of like that. Yeah, more and more. Um, that's how Jesus feels. I think. I believe. I don't know. And do what Jesus does. Well, what does Jesus do? He gives the books away for free. That sounds like Jesus. Oh, this is a good book. This is like one of the most important books you could ever have. It's called the one-page book. How much are you going to charge for that? A lot. Wow, you're Babylonish. Oh, when I said a lot, I meant they'll have to believe. Well, that's too high a price, and they'll have to look like a freak. Once again, that's too high a price because somebody might say, "Well, how many pages, or can I get a copy of that?" And then people will laugh at them, like, "Oh, come on! Oh, come on! I'm gonna kill you!" You start deviating from the norm. There's a price to pay for the one-page book, believe me, and all the easy ways. There's an easy way. If you're not swimming with the rest of the fish, the price might be high. You might just want to pay that $25 for the 365-page book that you're not going to read, but you'll get through maybe chapter one. If it's a self-help book, hey, if it's a novel, well, that's a whole different thing. Like, I want to see what happens next. As regards my books, I intend to improve upon mine as Jesus directs. In fact, Jesus has me write version books because it allows me to refine my book kits so that they can be increasingly effective. It's like I'm going fishing, I get my fishing kit and I go fishing, like, oh, I caught some fish, but I think I can catch more. I'm gonna go back home and put some more stuff and do some tie flying. Yeah, you don't have to do that all at once. Just go fishing with what? A pole, a hook, a line, like like some kind of person down south. That's all you got. Is you got a stick with a string on it and a little hook and a worm. Look what I did. You caught something. Wow, that's like a one-page book. Yeah. Didn't have to go to Walmart and buy a rod and a reel. Just like, yeah, here we go. I just had Jesus, prayed and like, Lord, Heavenly Father, can you please bless that? Oh, I got a bite. Just a second, Lord. Okay. But the refinement, and this Jesus wants us to have a life where, no, keep working on it. It's good. It's fun. Over time, let's get that book. Let's get that book out. And it's his book, so yeah, of course I'll get it out. And let's make it increasingly effective. It's already effective, Lord. I'm writing one-page books, and it feels good. I'm like, I'm an author now. I'm an author now. And not just an author of anything, but a co-author with Jesus. Oh my goodness, you are. I know, right? But no mortals really want this book. Should that matter? I don't know, Jesus. What do you think? He goes, don't worry about it. The immortals love this idea. As I get feedback from Jesus, angels, and other readers, or Jesus gives me new ideas, I can make revisions and I can give my readers updates. The first version of my Jesus book is version 1.01. I'll bet you Nephi wanted to do this. And Paul, like, yeah, after I wrote the Bible and at least parts of the Bible and Nephi, after I wrote parts of the Book of Mormon, I think I'd rather kind of maybe have a different word choice. So can I take another crack at that? He's probably up in heaven right now doing that. I don't know. But the first version of my Jesus book is called version 1.01. And like I say, this book's been going through some revisions, over time, over 20 years or whatever it's been. When did you show me the one-page book, Jesus? It was, at least it's about 20 years ago. As Jesus and I make updates to our book, we periodically release new versions in a sequential fashion. In short, Jesus and myself believe in lifelong education and lifelong edits. Jesus loves repenting, which means improving. Lifelong edits to my human hindered ideas and books. Yep, I'm human hindered, so are my books. Trust. Hmm. Oh, yeah, let's read this. This was the old version. It's kind of crossed out, but I want to see what I had before. But this just hasn't been removed. But I probably won't remove it. It's like, yeah, here's a good example. It's like it's a book and get crossed out. Yeah, I'm not saying that anymore. I'm gonna say this down here. But you left it in there. Do you realize they could read what you wrote before? Yeah, kind of interesting. I think I'm gonna leave it in there. So this was a header that apparently gets taken out. this little paragraph. Trust. I trust that you can overlook the inadequacies in mine and Jesus's early drafts, especially since it's Jesus's book. Come on, you have to overlook his inadequacies. Jesus doesn't have inadequacies. When he's working through this, me, oh yeah, Jesus has to work through this. He has inadequacies just through me, not him. Okay. As part of that trust, we cut you a deal. Oh, we're going to cut you a deal. When you buy a Jesus book, you're buying the right to every updated version of that book in an ebook form, of course. Our earliest versions, the ones that are just born and wet like a little baby, will be very inexpensive, 99 cents or less. Many are actually free to start with. Later versions will cost more. Regardless of the version you buy, your initial purchase qualifies you for a free update to subsequent versions that Jesus and I release, along with the exclusive access to online material related to the book. So you'd be like this movie, like, oh, I got the book, about the one-page book. And then the movie came out. Have you seen the movie? Oh, yeah. And I got that for free. In a way, Jesus is having me sell these books like stock in a company is sold. Version 1.01 is like an IPO. That's initial public offering. Um, it's like an IPO of the book. If you like the direction the book is heading, you can buy it while the price is low. Buy low, sell high, because the value will only increase as time goes by. That's when I was a filthy capitalist. Jesus says, let's scratch that out. But he put it in there. I know he did. Put it in my heart. At least I believe he did. But then he put in red. So that's all scratched out. And now it says, reader, this is no longer the case. Jesus has directed me to stop doing priestcraft. No, he didn't say that. Jesus has directed me to offer all content of this nature free open source. To offer all content of this nature free? What does that mean? Jesus has directed me to offer all content of this nature. Oh, all content of this neighbor, because not everything that I'll say is free, free, free. Here, I got a code, you have it for free, unless Jesus tells me to. And I've seen that happen. Yeah, I've seen that happen. But all content of this nature, like the one-page book, it's called open source. It's called Jesus source, actually. I'm gonna write that just a second. I gotta edit that. You're gonna see a live edit. You're not gonna see it, but you'll know it's happening. Jesus source. Oh, I like that. You are the way. You are the truth and the life. Jesus source. Like air. How much do you pay for air, by the way? I had to breathe. Yeah, that's about what I have to do too. Like air, the Bible and Ubuntu. All of my Jesus ebooks are now offered free of charge, no matter how advanced the version. Greg Muller. Oh, it looks like it's in red. I look like I signed it in blood. So apparently, if that's what Jesus wants to do, till he changes that, this is free. Um, Next header: creative constraint and sufficiency. Finally, Jesus puts it into my heart to have the books I write with him reflect a principle I respect immensely. Small and simple things bring about great things when great energy is brought to them. What? That's not how it goes in the Book of Mormon. Right. Jesus told me the unwritten thing. Small and simple things bring about great things when great energy is brought to them. Mother Teresa said, great love. Same thing. Great energy is brought to them. This Jesus inspired principle underlies the power of what Jesus calls creative constraints. The idea that small spaces, actual or conceptual, carefully constructed, generate important pressures that give rise to creativity that larger spaces may not. Oh, you got 300 pages, just blah, like Jesus TV now. Oh, you can go on as long as you want, Greg. uh, we ought to just keep me down to 5 minutes. And the Lord's like, no, no, the people in spirit prison, they're just gnashing their teeth. They don't have anything else to do. They'll sit there for 8 hours if you want to. Really? That's my main audience, by the way. So he has some mortals who are like, oh. When's he going to get to the point? I already did. It's a one-page book. Go do it. Pressures that give rise to creativity that larger spaces may not. This Jesus principle is reflected in Jesus's choice to limit the size of my books, often to just 1 or 2 pages. Yeah, he does that. My Jesus and Angels co authored books are also an expression of the principle of sufficiency. Oh, that sounds familiar. Sufficient for our needs. Jesus has pointed out to me that most self help books could be boiled down to anywhere from 1 to 10 pages, and that most people would still get at least 90% or more of the benefit of those pages that they would have got slogging through 300-page book of the same title. The holy principles of creative constraint and sufficiency have led me to great treasures in many areas of my life. I believe they will do the same in my writing. Thank you, Jesus. And that was written before Jesus TV. Like, oh, so we're going to have a studio? Yeah, look at this studio. It's like a one-page book. Yeah, it's called The Closet by some people and by me. I call it a closet, Jesus. But not when I'm doing this. It's a studio. It's the closet studio to remind me you're an out of the closet Christian, Greg. You're an out of the closet kingdom builder. That's a good reminder. Okay, next header is voice of choice. Jesus has prepared me to respond to people who might question the extreme length of one-page book that he has me write. As some people might suggest that Jesus and my book may not be long enough to actually be considered a book, at least by them. Well, I've got to live up to their standards, don't I, Jesus? He's like, no. Jesus instructs me that I am to tell them with a smile, I'd be glad to add some pages to the book. Would you like me to add pictures, increase the font size, and add some worksheets so that you can record your thoughts? I can quickly get the book up to 300 plus pages or more if you'd like to wait a few minutes. Is that what you want? Yes, with a smile, but also knowing, like, ah, that would work. Finally, Jesus instructs me to invite people to join with Jesus and me to add to this book. Now, that is an interesting thing. I wonder if that'll ever happen, but that's what we could do. That's where it becomes like a one-page version share book. Yeah, that's the big mouthful. One-page version share book. Yeah, it includes this concept, but inviting people. Hey, you don't like this book? Well, let's add some more. What would you like in there? Quote, if you are uncomfortable with the length of the Jesus one-page book, you can always increase it or wait for me and Jesus to do so. So don't worry, but we'll get around to it probably. In other words, feel free to volunteer. Quit complaining if you want to have this, be the change you want to see. I want that book, that one-page book, to be 10 pages. Greg's like, oh, that's cool. Let's do it. The one-page book that's 10 pages. I'll do that. I'm not so glued to the idea of a one-page book that's actually one page. I don't know how many pages this is, but I can get it all down into one. If it's 100 pages, I'm like, yep, see, it's still a one-page book. I can't read it. Well, that's because you don't have a microscope. Um, if you are uncomfortable with the length of the book, you can always increase. I can always increase it, or you can wait for me or Jesus to do it. Oh yeah, you can increase it. Like here's the book. It's free. Now write it, take it, edit it. I'll give it to you in a Word format or a Google Docs format, and you can just add to it. I don't want to. Of course you don't. I don't think you want the book. I think you want to criticize. Oh, anyways, this is what it says here, though. In other words, feel free to volunteer. Many are called, few are chosen. If you have desires, you're called to the work, to the book. Let's see. There's other things, but they're in rough format. No, it's good. Yeah, that basically is a book. And it covers it. So let me improv here the last of this. I don't want to go too far beyond this. We start this. Jesus starts. This is part of the 1,000 part movie called Sacred Clown, and this part of that movie is called Greg Muller. And I knew what Jesus, when he said, okay, now let's do Greg Muller, because we already did Hugh Nibley and Jesus and some other people. And so when he said, let's do Greg Muller, I was like, what are we going to do first? And he has a bunch of content from Greg Muller that he wants to insert into this movie. So there'll be Greg Muller, then there'll be these B-roll. Everything else is going to be B-roll. So this is not the B-roll. This is the main roll. It's pretty long. And like, you're not talking about your sacred clownness. No, I'm doing sacred clownness right now. And I don't pretend. I literally do write one-page books. So you already saw that if you've been watching Sacred Clown, that I do things. Jesus has me do things with my tongue in my cheek. Oh, you're joking. And my jaw said, oh, you're not joking. Which is it? Both. Both. I think it's funny. And I think it's serious. Like, no, seriously. All the things that were expressed in there by Jesus that I helped him express. The mortals, very few, and the immortals. And then, but this is where he starts, which I knew that's a great place to start, Jesus, because the one-page book, Jesus brought it into my life as a parable so I would understand. Do you understand, Greg, when I invite people to do easy things, what the main problem is? And it doesn't matter if he invites us to hard things or easy things. We just simply we want to fit in. We want to do traditional things. It's a hard sell. So many of the things that Jesus gives me to share with the world are just spat out. They're just not interested. And um, people rightly say, well, rework them, Greg. Make them palatable. Okay. The answer to me is like, okay, well, when's that going to be done? Oh, yeah, that's a good next question. Whatever pace Jesus wants. Um, and so a lot of the things are 10-year, 20-year projects until some mortals, few, once again, find them palatable. And usually just you have to wait for the cultural change. Like people are now writing one-page books, or what happened in the interim when Jesus introduced the one-page book is the idea of books has exploded. Like, what is a book? You can Google it, and there's different forms. And there kind of always has been, but the one-page book, to my mind, brings it stark, but it becomes a parable of understanding because books have always been honored in our society. And they are that's cool. The Bible's a book, a compilation of books. The book of Paul, the book of Matthew, the book of Paul. Well, they call it Acts. Um, and Jesus is having me add to the Book of Mormon, which is a collection of books. I don't call it the Book of Mormon anymore. At least my version is called the Book of More Jesus, but I like calling it the Book of Mormon too. But yeah, mine just got an additional book. It's a one-page book. It's the start of the Book of Greg. Where's that found? It's in the back of the Book of Mormon. You'll see it. After Moroni came Greg. So when you're singing that song, Nephi, da dee da da da, then there's and Moroni and Greg. In my Jesus Greg world, it doesn't have to be that way. You can insert yourself, liken yourself, go beyond likening yourself, start receiving prophecy. We did talk of Christ, we rejoiced in Christ, we preached of Christ, prophesied of Christ, we wrote according to our prophecies. And some of us opened up the Book of Mormon and said, I'm going to stuff some stuff in the back here, and it's going to be my stuff, my Jesus stuff, things that Jesus is telling me. He told Nephi some stuff, and I love it, but he also told me some stuff. And so I'm going to have many books back there, but I've got one so far. Um, but something like that, is just the tip of the iceberg of who Greg Muller is. That Jesus pours that stuff down upon me, things that don't fit culturally yet, or are an expression that aligns with maybe what culture's doing, but because it's different enough, the culture can't see it. Like, oh, well, if he hadn't called it a book, if he'd called it an article. I still remember my friend Norm Wood, PhD Norm Wood, one of my favorite memories when I introduced the one-page book to him. he came back in his scholarly way, and I love Norm. Um, he was my mentor for 12 years, the postdoctorate, informal postdoctorate Jesus had me do with him. But I introduced the one-page book, and Norm ready to spit it out, but spit it out with some logic and saying, this is more the size of an article because I had written a one-page book. Um, and I said, oh, well, it's a book. One of my favorite books is Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. And so, as a doctor, a PhD, I'm writing myself a book that's longer. Word count, yeah, it's longer. And then, of course, I did, and I could insert some pictures and increase the font. Well, Norm Wood knew that he had been bested. Still remember this, Norm. I'm talking about you because I love you. But he took his toys. It'd be like I was in the sandbox with him. And all of a sudden, I'd offered a bomb to him. Hold it. What the heck? He wasn't going to touch it. Okay. Because if he touches it, he knows, boom. What can I say, Greg? You're an idiot. Go to the sandbox and be like a junior high. You're an idiot. Why? Because I can't be right? No. And that's what sacred class do. They'll hand you a bomb. Like, I don't want to answer that question. Jesus did it to the Pharisees. He would create questions and they were like, not going to answer it. Why? Because it'll blow up on us. And of course, using a pretty dramatic term to say that. Only you got to remember, Jesus drops bombs on us, metaphorical bombs, right? Does he do that to you? I think he does that to everybody. Oh my goodness, I was going along, all of a sudden, boom! You got my attention, Lord. That's what he's intending to do. But yeah, Norm Wood, he just took his toys, went home. Yeah, we were still friends. I had to drop it. You know, part of my carnal self would have liked to needle him, which I can do now, Norm, because you're in heaven. You can handle it up there in spirit prison, visiting spirit prison. Norm Wood would have went straight up to paradise, I'm sure that. But he also, like me, he'd say, "Okay, I'm here, ready to go to work." You know, to say hi to the family. Then he's go off to help the prisoners learn what's called the Jesus Highway. That'll be coming later. Not a one-page book. That's going to be 1,000-part movie, probably a 10,000-part movie. But when Jesus decides to do it, but hopefully we're getting close to that. Yeah, so the one-page book is a good place to start because it reminds my mind, Greg. A lot of times people are not ready to receive things because the culture hasn't got there. You're like, well, why would we have to wait for a culture? Why can't we just do it because it makes sense? Well, because then we'd just stop at fourth grade math, and what are we going to do with math? Because that's all you really need, most people. Oh, yeah, so you kind of ruin the system for everybody. Yeah, that's kind of hard. So let's make everybody learn the Pythagorean theorem and 100 other theorems and have them do seat time. Greg, are you being cynical? Yeah, I accept it, Lord. But for my world, we're going to write one-page books. Jesus says that's what I do with you, Greg. And we're going to do 1,000-part movies that are like this. That's what I do with you, Greg. Who's going to want these, Jesus? And then he told me, very few mortals. In time, they will. These ideas that Jesus gives me, they're before their time. That's why they're called paradigm shifts. So that's been hard for me to receive. But it really feels good to receive it. Just like, okay, well, it's you and me, Jesus, and you're an immortal. So it's you and me, Jesus, plus a few mortals. So there are a few mortals who parts, not all the stuff. That's what I had to accept. Like even the ones who receive parts, because Greg's full of puzzle pieces, they don't need all those parts, Greg. Like, okay, Jesus, I get it. I don't need all their parts either. No, no, they just need a little piece. Okay, so how are we going to give them the piece? You are right now. There's a movie. They watch movies. These people do screen time. So I will put it in their hearts, Greg, if any mortals are supposed to do this. But you're not preaching mostly to the mortals. You're mostly preaching to the immortals, beings from an unseen world, the world that you're in, Jesus, because I still don't see you, but I'm looking forward to it. I keep believing you. I have this idea. Whoa, I see you, Jesus. That's what I expect. I see angels. I see dead people. Yeah, leave that to you, Jesus. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap. We will have references because this is this is called Greg Muller, which is one of the parts of a 1,000-part movie. But I should also say that Greg Muller can't fit in that box. That what Jesus is going to do is I'm going to probably have 1,000 parts of me. Da, 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 da. And there's examples like this. So the one-page book is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to see other parts that reflect a lot of these same principles. The nano marathon, where you run 26.2 feet rather than 26.2 miles. Why? Because it's easy. All you have to do is believe. And many, many more things like that that Jesus has had me use for practical sake as well as principle's sake, as parables, living parables, so that I can understand what are you having us do, Jesus? Where's the miracles? And he's like, do you see? So the one-page book, like, oh yeah, I see. So many people who want to write a book, they're just kept from it because they live in a culture that says, well, that's not a book. You can't say, oh, no, what you been doing? Oh, I just wrote a book. You can't say that. That's lying. Is it? Well, they didn't ask how many pages. So they can ask, but isn't what most important how good the book was, not how many pages? My answer, my heart says, yeah, that's really what matters. But you know, Greg, I know. Yeah, we'll suffer our culture, and So I, yeah. Somebody asked, I have no problem saying that's a one-page book. Well, you put it on your resume. You were giving us the impression that you're really smart. Yeah, that's what people do with resumes. Yeah, but they don't do this. I know that Jesus, uh, he just has me do stuff that's pretty doggone strategic, and I think we ought to. I'm glad you brought it to my attention that I think we ought to, in this company, um, and then I could start introducing things and they could start rejecting them. Wear helmets when we drive in the cars. No, that's stupid. But when you ski, well, I wear a helmet. When you ride a bike, my mom made me wear a helmet. Car going 80 miles an hour. Well, I know it makes sense, but won't do it. Do you do it? No, I don't do it either. Which, of course, is the point of the car helmet, is to say, you know what the most powerful thing is? I don't want to do that. And that's what God wants me to appreciate. No, the car helmet's not for you to wear, Greg. It's a principle to understand that people don't have to do good ideas. They don't have to follow Jesus. They don't have to follow the truth yet. They don't have to do that yet. So let them do what they want to do, and you do what you want to do. What? And I actually have to revise that. Let them do what I put in their heart to do, and you do what I put in your heart to do, and accept that. That literally. So I accept that. Like, I don't know, but it feels like Jesus wants the rest of you to work really, really hard to get a book, as far as I know. But there might be a few exceptions there who are hearing this one-page book thing, like, oh, I'm going to totally do that. I need to talk to Greg. What are some other things about this one-page book that he hasn't said in that book? Yeah, you just call me and ask me or message me. I'll tell you some stuff. Not big secrets or anything. Just we have to have constraints of time. Otherwise, this thing just goes on and on and on, which I kind of like because where two or more are gathered and there's tens of thousands, millions. Okay, well, I believe millions of angels. Woo! There he is. There's Jesus, my favorite friend. Hallelujah. So we're on the path, and it's going to be easy, just like the children of Israel. So the cultural implications of this are getting out from under Pharaoh's thumb. That is going to be so easy. Why? Well, because God's going to do it. He's going to fight our fights. He's going to bring a Moses or however he does it. And then we'll have to do like, oh, go paint something on your doorpost. There's going to be people like, that's stupid. No, I don't want people seeing red blood. Are you kidding me? That's gross. Then they'll learn the lesson. It'll be easy. You know, it's going to be easy carrying those bricks for another 20 years. They won't be bothered by all the freaky Hebrews who are painting things on their door and being rude to Pharaoh and killing a bunch of Pharaoh's army. Oh, well, they didn't kill him. It was Jesus put that. Oh, but it was like that. Maybe they were happy. They were. That's when they were going to die. And then, like, thank you, Jesus. God bless those Egyptians as they get up into heaven. Shoot, there's some of them probably listening to me right now. You Egyptians? Yeah, you got to be part of that. Whew. Glad I wasn't that, but I'm very certain because Jesus has made me believe strongly we're all toast. I'm sorry, people in 2020s and 2030s, as humans, we're toast unless what? Jesus saves. He's going to have to do a mighty work, otherwise the flood's coming and there is no ark. Is that what you believe, Greg? Yeah. So you're going to say this is going to be easy? That's what God has put. I'm just sitting around on Sunday, Sabbath day like today. Easy. Doing Jesus TV. It's a very complicated thing to have TV, but he showed me the easy way. Turn on studio, this is YouTube studio. Doesn't cost me a dime. Maybe cost Jesus some dimes. 1 hour and 6 minutes and 40 seconds. This is easy. You got a studio? Easy. Closet. Man, the way is easy, Lord. And then he'll maybe complicate it. It's like, Greg, I want you to have a fancy studio, like some of your rock and roll guys, like what's his name, Hall and Oates, Daryl Hall. Yeah, he's got a big studio. And if Jesus wants to do that, he can do that. But until then, I'm easy, Jesus. And that's what he wants me to be. Greg, go slow so you can go fast. Go low so you can go high. And go like a fool to be wise. And that's what a sacred clown learns and is tasked with learning and then sharing with others. There's other ways to travel. Some of it is upstream, like, no, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to believe.